Okay, so let's get started. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Now we can all recite together the Mangalacharan prayers. Om
Om Ajnana
Timirandasya
Timirandasya
Jnananjana
Jnananjana
Shalakaya
Shalakaya
Chakshurunmilitam
Chakshurunmilitam
Yena
Yena
Tasmai
Tasmai
Shri
Shri
Gurave
Gurave
Namaha.
Namaha.
Shri
Shri
Chaitanya
Chaitanya
Manobhishtam
Manobhishtam
Thapitam
Sthapitam
Yena
Yena
Bhutale
Bhutale
Swayam
Swayam
Rupa
Rupa
Kada
Kada
Mayam
Mayam
Dadati
Dadati Swapadantikam
Swapadantikam Vande
Vandeham
Shri
Shri
Guru
Guru
Shri Yuta
Sri
Padakamalam
Kamalam
Shri
Shri
Gurun
Gurun
Vaishnavanscha
Vaishnavascha Sri
Shri
Rupam
Rupam
Sagrajatam
Sagrajatam Sahagana
Sagana
Raghunathanvitam
Raghunathanvitam
Tam
Tam
Sajivam
Sajivam
Sadvaitam
Sadvaitam
Savadutam
Savadutam
Harijana
Harijana
Sahitam
Sahitam
Krishna
Krishna
Chaitanya
Chaitanya
Devam
Devam
Shri
Shri
Radha
Radha
Krishna
Krishna
Padam
Padam Sagana
Sagana
Lalita
Lalita Shri
Shri Vishakhanvitam
Vishakhanvitamscha He
He
Krishna
Krishna
Karuna
Karuna
Sindhu
Sindhu
Dinabandhu
Dinabandho
Jagapate
Jagapate
Gopesha
Gopesha
Gopika
Gopikakanta
Kanta Radha
Radha
Kanta
Kanta
Namostute
Namostute
Tapta
Tapta
Kanchana
Kanchana
Gaurangi
Gaurangi
Radhe
Radhe
Vrindavaneshwari
Vrindavaneshwari
Vrishabhanute
Vrishabhanute Devi
Devi Pranamami
Pranamami
Haripriye
Haripriye
Vancha
Vancha
Kalpatarubhyascha
Kalpatarubhyascha
Kripa
Kripa
Sindhubhya
Sindhubhya
eva
Eva
cha
Cha Patitanam
Patitanam
Pavanebhyo
Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo
Namo
Namo
Namaha.
Namaha
Nama
Nama
Om
Om
Vishnu
Vishnupadaya
Padaya Krishna
Krishna
Prestaya
Prestaya
Bhutale
Bhutale
Srimate
Srimate Bhakti
Bhakti
Vedanta
Vedanta Swami
Swami
Niti
Niti
Namine
Namine
Namaste
Namaste Saraswate
Saraswate
Deve
Deve Gauravani
Gauravani
Pracharine
Pracharine
Nirvishesha
Nirvishesha Shunyavadi
Shanyavadi Paschatya
Paschatya
Deshatarine.
Deshatarine
Jai
Jai Shri
Shri
Krishna
Krishna
Chaitanya
Chaitanya Prabhu
Prabhu
Nityananda
Nityananda
Shri
Shri
Advaita
Advaita
Gadadhara
Gadadhara
Srivasadi
Srivasadi
Gaura
Gaura
Bhakta
Bhakta Vrinda
Vrinda. Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Hare
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Ram Hare
Rama, Hare
Ram
Rama,
Rama
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 Rama,
Hare
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 Hare. Shri Krishna Bhagavan ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. So Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So let's get started with our Bhagavad Gita reading. Okay, so we are reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8. And we started this few weeks ago, and we are where Arjuna had asked few questions, and we are reading about the last question that he asked about Prayana Kale cha katham Neyosya Niyatatmabhi, that how one can think of you at the time of leaving this body, or what we generally call it at the time of death. And Krishna then tells him that Antakale cha mameva, one who gives up this body thinking of me, he will come to me. Of this, there is no doubt. And then he says further that whatever state of mind one has, or whatever consciousness one is in when he is leaving this body, that type of body he will attain for sure. That type bhava he will attain for sure. And that's why tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yuddhacha mai arpita manobuddhir mame vaishyasya asamshaya. That therefore, Arjun, you should always think of me, but at the same time perform your duty. And in this case, Arjuna's duty is fighting. So in our case, we should do our duty, whatever material duty we have, but at the same time, we should always be thinking of Krishna. And then how one can think of Krishna? So he gives some points here and what will happen to him. So he who meditates upon me as the supreme person, abhyasa yoga yuktena chetasa na anyagamina, paramam purusham, divyam. So one who thinks of me as parama purusha and who is transcendental, yati parthanu chintayan. He will get that final destination or is sure to reach me. And then the last week we read about more qualities that Krishna explains how one can think of him. That Kavim, Puranam, Anushasitaram, Anoraniyan Smarano Smaradya, Sarvasya Dhataram, Achintya Rupam, Aditya Varnam, Tamasa Parastat. That he says one should meditate upon me as the supreme person who is Kavi. Kavi means one who is the knower of everything. Then who is the oldest, who is the Puranam Purusham, and who is the controller of everything, who is Anoraniya Sama, who is smaller than the smallest, and who is Dhataram, who is maintainer of everything, Dhata, and who is Achintya Rupan, who is beyond all the material conceptions and who is inconceivable. Achintya, his form is also Achintya. We cannot perceive his form or his qualities or anything. And who is always a person, who is always a Purusha or person. And Aditya Varnam, he is luminous like sun. And Tamasa Parastat, he takes out all the darkness of this material world. So further we are going to continue how one can think of him and what one can achieve by thinking of him. So there are different perspectives Krishna gives of what different people, how they can think of him and what they attain generally. So today we'll read from Shloka 10. Okay, so let's recite this Shloka. Prayana kale manasa chalena,
Prayana kale manasa chalena,
bhaktya yukto yoga balena chaiva,
bhaktya yukto yoga balena chaiva,
भ्रुवोर मध्ये प्राणमावेश्य सम्यक,
भ्रुवोर मध्ये प्राणमावेश सम्यक्,
सतं परम पुरुषमुपैति दिव्यम.
satam param puruषमुपैति दिव्यम्.
Here I don't know why they connected this, but this ka is from the previous line and sa is separate here. So in the Roman transliteration you can see this. Okay, let's do one more time. Prayana kale manasa chalena,
Prayana kale manasa chalena,
bhaktya yukto yoga balena chaiva,
bhaktya yukto yoga balena chaiva,
भ्रुवोर मध्ये प्राणमावेश्य सम्यक,
भ्रुवोर मध्ये प्राणमावेश सम्यक्,
सतं परम पुरुषमुपैति दिव्यम.
satam param puruषमुपैति दिव्यम्.
Let's take a couple of recitations. I think Madhu Prabhu is traveling, so let's do Chandrakant Prabhu. You want to lead?
Yeah. Prayana kale manasa chalena,
Prayana kale
manasa
chalena,
bhaktya yukto yoga balena chaiva,
bhaktya yukto yoga balena chaiva,
भ्रुवोर मध्ये प्राणमावेश सम्यक्,
भ्रुवोर मध्ये
satam param puruषमुपैति दिव्यम्.
सतं परम पुरुषमुपैति दिव्यम. Madhu Prabhu, are you able to recite?
Yes.
Okay, please.
Prayana kale manasa chalenam,
Prayana kale manasa chalena,
bhaktya yukto yoga balena chaiva,
bhaktya yukto yoga balena chaiva,
भ्रुवोर मध्ये प्राणमावेश्य सम्यक्,
भ्रुवोर मध्ये प्राणमावेश सम्यक्,
सतं परं पुरुषमुपैति दिव्यम्.
satam param puruषमुपैति दिव्यम्.
Thank you, Madhu Prabhu. Rajesh Prabhu, you can also.
Which one? Anantaram or?
No, the verse, Sanskrit verse.
But on Anantaram.
Yeah, you only.
Anantaraman. There is only one Rajesh today.
Oh, okay. Prayanakale manasachalena.
Prayanakale manasachalena.
Bhaktya yukto yoga balena chaiva.
Bhaktya yukto yoga balena chaiva.
Bhruvor madhye pranamadvesha samyak.
Bhruvor madhye pranamavesha samyak.
Okay. Satam param purusham upaiti divyam.
Satam param purusham upaiti divyam.
Thank you, Rajesh Prabhu. So let's do word for word translation. So prayana kale means at the time of death.
Yes.
Manasa means by the mind. Achalena means without being deviated. Bhaktya means it full of devotion. Yukta means engaged. Yoga balena means by power of mystic yoga, by the yoga process, the power that is derived or gained by yoga process. Cha means also. Eva means certainly. Bhruvor means between the two eyebrows. Madhya means between. Pranam means the life air. Avesha means establishing. Samyak means completely. Sa means he. Tam means that. Param means transcendental. Purusham means the personality of Godhead. Upaiti means achieves. Divyam means in the spiritual kingdom. So what Krishna is saying here to Arjuna is, one who at the time of death fixes his life air between the eyebrows and by the strength of yoga with an undeviating mind engages himself in remembering the Supreme Lord in full devotion, Bhaktya Yukta, will certainly attain to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Will be his Upaiti Divyam, his Purusham Upaiti Divyam. He achieves the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So what is his destination? When one, by the power of yoga, somebody can control his life air between the two eyebrows, Bhruvor Madhye. Pranam, prana means life air. Aveshya, samyak, पूर्णपणे तिथे कंट्रोल करून हे होईल आणि he will be completely focused on Krishna in the mode of devotion, bhaktya yukta. And how can one do this? By yoga balina, by power of yoga, certain type of yoga. So there are different, the whole yoga system we learned in 6th chapter, that was the Ashtanga yoga or Dhyana yoga. And then there is also Bhakti yoga. So Bhakti yoga is the easier, but at the same time, superior to the Ashtanga yoga. That's what we are reading, and we will eventually read more and more about it in this Bhagavad Gita. So what Krishna is saying again here is, one who at the time of death fixes his life air between the two eyebrows by the strength of yoga and with undeviating mind, manasa achalena, by his mind is achala, and engages himself in remembering the Supreme in full devotion, bhaktya yukta, so will certainly attain to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So these are all different things what Krishna is telling, what are the destinations or how one, what happens to one, in which way one leaves this body. Okay. So let's read the purport. Chandrakant Prabhu, you want to read the purport?
Sure. In this verse, it is clearly stated that at the time of death, the mind must be fixed in devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For those practiced in yoga, it is recommended that they raise the life force between the eyebrows to the Ajna Chakra. The practice of Satya Chakra yoga involving meditation on the 6 chakras is suggested here. A pure devotee does not practice such yoga, but because he is always engaged in Krishna consciousness, at death he can remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead by his grace. This is explained in verse 14. The particular use of the word yoga balena is significant in this verse because without practice of yoga, whether Satchakra yoga or Bhakti yoga, one cannot come to this transcendental state of being at the time of death. One cannot suddenly remember Supreme Lord at death. One must have practiced some yoga system, especially the system of Bhakti yoga. Since one's mind at the death is very disturbed, one should practice transcendence through yoga during one's life.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. So short purport, but again, very powerful here. As I think in the 5th verse, Krishna said that Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram ya prayati sadmad bhavam yati nasti atra samshaya. That at the time of death or at the time of giving up this body, one who thinks of me, he will attain my nature or he will come to the spiritual world of this. There is no doubt. Nasti samshaya. But again, I think Bapu Prabhu that time raised a question that somebody may try to think that, okay, at the time of death, I'll think of Krishna. In the meantime, I can just enjoy my life here and then I don't have to worry about anything. But no, one cannot think of him. Clearly, Prabhupada mentions here, one cannot suddenly remember the Supreme Lord at the time of death. One must have practiced some yoga system, and particularly, especially the Bhakti Yoga, because in Bhakti Yoga, when we say devotion, in Bhakti, one is constantly thinking of Krishna, how I can serve him, and we have seen, we are very fortunate in the land of Maharashtra. There are so many भक्त और आपण संतांची भूमी म्हणतो महाराष्ट्राला आणि इतक्या संतांची देण आहे आपल्याला आणि त्यांच्या आचरणातून किंवा त्यांच्या आयुष्यातून ते कसे जगलंय वी कॅन फाइंड आउट हाऊ दे वर डेडिकेटेड दे वर ऑलवेज रिमेंबरिंग ऑफ कृष्णा ऑल द टाइम and that Krishna can be in any form. Particularly in Maharashtra, it was always in the Vitthal form. But and Janabai or Sant Tukaram or Gora Kumbar or Sant Namdev, Eknath, so many devotees, they were constantly thinking and somehow or other engaging their mind in Krishna. So were they very expert in the Shat Chakra Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga or Dhyana Yoga? No, but that is not required actually, because the process of Shat Chakra Yoga is much difficult, because you have to follow all the Ashtanga process, starting with Yam, Niyam, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahara, Dhyana, Dharana, and then Samadhi. And Samadhi doesn't mean, because from the childhood, I thought that Samadhi means you have to just put yourself in a some cave, or you can build something of concrete around you and you die there forcefully. No, that is not Samadhi. The meaning of Samadhi is you are constantly thinking of Supreme Lord. That is real Samadhi. You don't think anything else, but always, for some or the other reason, always thinking of Supreme Lord. That is Samadhi. So Samadhi, and that is, so even the essence of all the Vedic literature is Yena Kena Prakarena Mana Krishna Niveshayat. Sarva Vidhi Nishedasur Etayor Eva Kinkara. That somehow or other, my mind, I should try to think of Krishna all the time. That's what the essence. Sarva Vidhi Nished. So the Vedas are meant for Vidhi and Nished, so do's and don'ts. They are rules and regulations and everything. Sarva Vidhi Nishedatsur Etayor Eva Kinkara. They are subordinate. Kinkar means servant or subordinate of this one principle. What is that principle? Yena Kena Prakarena Mana Krishna Niveshet. Or the same thing is also in some other place said that Smartavyam Satatam Vishnu Viswartavyam na Jatichut. And then the next lines are same. Sarva Vidhi Nishedatsur Eto Eva Kinkara. That all the time one should always Smartavyam Satatam Vishnu. One should always think of Vishnu, and Viswartavyam, and one should never forget him. And so the main principle of all the Vedic literature, somehow or other, we should always think of Krishna. And there are multiple yoga systems. The purpose of the yoga systems is also the same thing. So you follow Karma Yoga or Jnana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga or Dhyana Yoga or Bhakti Yoga. So ultimately, if you are not coming to Bhakti Yoga, all the other yoga processes are incomplete. And that's what the last verse, of the concluding verse of 6th chapter we read. 6th chapter is Dhyana Yoga or the complete yoga system, that Yoginam api sarvesham madgate nantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yo mam same yuktatamo mataha. That out of all the yogis, one who is shraddha purvak, with full faith, worship me or engages in my bhakti, shraddhavan bhajate yo mam, Krishna says. So that person is yuktatama, is the best of all the yogis. So that is the yoga process. So, but here Prabhupada gives here, so what is Krishna saying here? That prayana kale manasa achalena. So he's giving for the other yogis also how they can attain him. They should do manasa achalena, focus their mind or fix their mind where and bring their life air. So for that you definitely need to do lot of yogic practice to bring the life air between the Agya chakra. So there are 7 chakras. I was just looking for 7 chakras. We can go quickly read there. So this is in the Wikipedia here. So this is top to down. So let's go from bottom to up. So Mooladhara chakra is the bottom of our spine. So that's where it is said the yogis, they arouse their kundalini or the life air and they raise it through different chakras. And they bring it up to at least 6th chakra, that is the between the 2 eyebrows, that is Agya chakra. So base is Mooladhara chakra, that is the root, that is the base of the spine. Then from there, one can lift it to the Swadhisthana chakra, that is the root of the sexual organ, our genitals, up to there. Then from there, one can bring it to their navel, so that is called the Manipura. Manipura means the jewel city, Manipura. So that's where they bring slowly. That's the 3rd level, Manipura chakra. Above that is Anahata chakra, which we should not. Anahata means that should be completely protected. So Anahata chakra or unstruck. So that is in the heart. So that is the 4th one. Then above that is Vishuddha chakra in the throat. That is the 5th one. And above that, the Shat chakra or 6th chakra is the Agya chakra, that is between the eyebrows. So that's what Krishna is saying. One should fix their life air between the Agya chakra. And above that is actually in the head is called Sahasrara chakra. So when the successful yogi, he will read in this 8th chapter afterwards, towards the end, what happens to a yogi who dies in certain way. So the yoga process, a yogi can decide where to go after giving up this body. So their life air comes out of the head, breaking out the skull, and then he can decide which planet he wants to go to. And he can go to either sun planet, moon planet, or any heavenly planet. So that we will read in the 8th chapter towards the end. So these are 7 chakras. Because we are reading today about chakras, I just wanted to bring this, so refer to this. So what today's verse, Krishna is saying that one who brings the life air between the 2 eyebrows, that is the Agya chakra, the one we just read, the 6th chakra, and the practice of Shat chakra yoga involving meditation on these 6 chakras is suggested here. But
Prabhuji, you are muted. Prabhuji, you are on mute.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I lost the connectivity and it just stopped sharing anything.
Yeah, frozen झाला था.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So what we were thinking, a pure devotee does not need to practice such kind of hard yoga system. Actually, in the 12th chapter in Bhakti Yoga, it says that one who is trying to meditate on this yoga and focusing on avyakta or impersonal for him, the process is very, very difficult. Klesho dikatarastesham avyakta sakta chetasam. For one who is trying to focus and meditate on avyakta, for him the process is kleshadayak, klesha adhikatarastam tesha. So, but one who is engaged in direct devotional service of the personal form of Krishna, for him the process is said to be easier and enjoyable. And that is the secret that Krishna is telling in this Bhagavad Gita. He says that rahasyam hi etaduttamam in the 9th chapter, that this process is very secretive, but this is best process. So that's what it in generally is, and the system of Bhakti Yoga is recommended. And since one's mind at death is very disturbed, because even after following the yoga process, the other yoga processes, since one's mind is at the death is very disturbed, one should practice the transcendence through yoga during one's life. So by yoga process, the purpose of yoga process we read in the 4th chapter, that is to control the senses. Because our senses are so much engrossed in sense gratification. They want to run here and there. I want to go to different restaurants for eating and enjoying some food. I want to go to some cinema hall so that I think, oh, I will enjoy, my eyes will enjoy some, my sense of sight will enjoy, give me some sense gratification. I want to go to some dance club or hear some loud music and so many things. The senses are dragging us and keeping us entangled here. The purpose of yoga process is yoga indriya sanyama, to bring our senses in sanyam, to control. So that's what, but by bhakti yoga, you are enjoying the senses at the same time, because by engaging senses in Krishna's service, you are enjoying at the same time. They are automatically controlled because they have gotten the higher taste. And they don't even worry about the remaining taste now. So Prabhupada always used to say that Bhakti Yoga is the best process, because here you can come, all you need to do is chant, dance, sing, and eat prasadam. And your life will be successful. You don't need to work hard. You don't need to worry about anything. Just sing, dance, and eat prasadam. And that's what bhakti is. So bhakti is the most enjoyable process actually. And when one engages in bhakti, then he doesn't get attracted to any other process or any other, or Maya cannot attract him. Maya cannot control him. Slowly, he can automatically loses control of Maya, the illusory energy of Krishna. And that's why by process of bhakti, one can automatically think of Krishna, and then he doesn't have to work hard by the other yoga process, the Ashtanga yoga or Dhyana yoga, to remember Krishna. So any thoughts, Prabhuji?
Yeah, Prabhuji. श्लोकाच्या एक्सप्लेनेशन मध्ये ते अनडेविएटिंग माइंड दिलं होतं ना. जस्ट बाय रीडिंग दॅट फर्स्ट थॉट की when someone is dying, then how can someone basically without undeviating mind, right? Because you are dying and still expecting that okay, your mind is stable and you can think of. But the way it has explained in purport is very nice actually. That means how one can achieve that. It is extremely difficult for people like us unless we practice. But but for normal people, I think the bhakti yoga, what you explain or mention here, I think that is the right way. Because these 6 chakras and all, I think the way it is explained looks like very, very difficult. And just to have undeviating mind, particularly at the time of death, because even in normal circumstances, it's very difficult to control your mind, right? So
Yes.
at the time of death, probably the whole life just moves around with in front of your eyes. At that time, without with my disturbed mind, I don't think it's possible. But the right solution for people like us, I think, is the bhakti yoga. What is that mentioned here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very nice reflection, Prabhu. Summarized it really well. Any other
Keep
thoughts?
yourself always engaged in bhakti.
Sorry, Prabhu.
Keep always yourself engaged in bhakti.
True.
Anyway, other you are saying that sing, chant, dance, enjoy prasadam, and that's what the bhakti.
Yeah. Because if I'm cooking and I'm thinking, oh, I have to offer something to Krishna, it's very easy to remember Krishna at that time. Because at our home, even the young child can think of, because whenever there is some festive season, we always think of, oh, Krishna, what does Krishna like today? Or Krishna likes milk products. So let's do something like prepare Shrikhanda for Krishna. So by offering it to Krishna, we are also enjoying Shrikhanda.
Yeah.
And singing and dancing. So singing Hare Krishna Mahamantra and chanting everywhere. You see all Rath Yatra. We had Rath Yatra last Sunday, right?
Mhm.
We are all singing and dancing and going in front of Lord Jagannath, Baldev and Subhadra, who is Krishna, Subhadra and Balram.
Mhm.
Then and dancing, having fun. That is real fun.
Yeah. And by that time, I think I realized that the mind is basically not just jumping here and there, because almost every day I take a walk. And very recently, maybe from 15 days or 1 month,
Mhm.
I started chanting this Maha Mantra while walking.
Mhm.
Usually, what used to happen that my mind used to jump from all these, like job to family to India to
Mhm.
all over. But now still it is there. It keeps jumping, but the frequency has been reduced a lot.
That's very nice. Hare Krishna, bro.
Yeah.
They should learn from you. Yeah.
Nahi re, I just we're just learning
No, that's
and
very.
trying to practice. Definitely, it is helping.
Hmm.
And around 45 minutes to 1 hour walk is there.
Mhm.
So without just rushing for that Maha Mantra, I just slowly in rhythm try to chant it.
Mhm.
Sometimes if no one is around, then little louder.
Mhm. Yeah, very nice.
But
It's amazing.
but that really help actually. When you say talk about the deviating mind, right?
Mhm.
So I think it is reduced a lot, not completely for sure, but yeah, the deviation has reduced a lot and helped me.
Very nice. Very well. Yes. Any other thought, reflections, Rajesh Prabhu or Madhu Prabhu?
Yes, I agree. What he just said, those moments where you are only doing that Nama Japa and letting your mind be occupied with only that, those are the patches where you will find distress, and that as you keep doing will increase. So, 1 hour of walking, then you will find Angol Karta na kaya hai. So,
Mhm.
it is somebody like Namdev, even Santa Namdev had the worst wife in anybody's life.
Mhm.
But even when she nagged him, he deviated to Krishna.
Mhm.
Anybody else would say, "Arey kai, kadi tari mala jara peace de." But he deviated to Krishna. He never, in fact, so much so that I could say he was a little mad after Krishna. काहीही negative, कितीही ओरडत असली, his mind deviated only to Krishna. So reaching that, no doubt, is difficult. It is something that comes only with little bit add on, and keep doing. So, and this is the right way. You do your duty when you find the time, so that your mind is never unoccupied. It is either occupied with your karma, your duty, or Krishna.
Yeah.
And reducing that gap is the best possible way to reach this, because you will never know. Nobody knows. See, even serious in bed, whether in coma, how many really know they are on their last journey? Some people recover from there, right? 6 महिने कॉमा मध्ये असतात, मग उठून येतात. So how does he know? So which means all those 6 months he needs to be subconsciously only with Krishna.
Yeah.
That's actually a very but it is a very, very practical method that Swami Prabhupada picked up and told people.
Yep.
There are, I saw devotees who were serving. Melbourne la gelo hoto, so he went for lunch. That guy, he was serving. Okay, but then I think I already told this.
Mm-hmm.
He was saying Hare Krishna, Hare Rama throughout. Little more was also Hare Rama or Hare Krishna. Not asking whether you want little more. Because the person in front will either show his hand or not his hand.
Mm-hmm.
So he wasn't wasting his time asking people. He was on Nam Jap continuously all the while, also serving the whole pankti. I like that practice.
Yeah, it is. Even here, and that's why for this, association is very, very important.
Very correct.
Because the association determines us. So that's why it is said that even in Shastra, everywhere said, I think we talked about this so many times, that sadhu sangha is very important, and lava matra sadhu sangha sarva siddhi hoy. Sadhu sangha sarva shastra. Even in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that sarva shastra, even all the Vedic literature says that you should associate more with sadhus. And what are the sadhus' qualities? They are also given in Bhagavatam. Titikshava, Karunika, Ajata, Shatrava, Shanta. So these are all qualities. Sadhu is not somebody who is wearing saffron clothes necessarily. A sadhu is based on his qualities. What quality? And you can see those qualities in sadhu. And the sadhu will always engage you also in somehow or other in bhakti, in Krishna's service. That is sadhu. And that's why even in third canto, Kapila Muni, who is incarnation of Krishna, he says that sadhu sangha sarva. No, not sadhu. Satam prasangan mama virya samvido bhavanti ritkarana rasayana katha. That satam prasangan, satam means sadhus or the devotees, prasangan by their association. Satam prasangan mama virya samvido, one who glorifies my stories, Veerakatha, or all my stories. Bhavanti ritkarana rasayana katha. And bhavanti, they enter through in their heart. How? Through their ears, by a very sweet melodious rasayan. Karna rasayana katha. Bhavanti ritkarana rasayana katha. Tajjoshanad ashu apavarga vartmani shraddharati bhaktir anukramishati. Tajjoshanad, by just hearing that in the association of sadhus, when we hear Krishna Katha, then Tajjoshanad ashu means very soon he gets apavarga vartmani, he gets liberated, he gets free from all his bad qualities, everything. And then eventually Shraddha, he develops faith or Shraddha. Rati means after Shraddha comes Rati, means taste. He develops taste, because even after Shraddha, we have to sometimes force ourselves, that because the taste is still not there. I have to mechanically do certain things. And then ultimately bhakti, that is the loving devotional service. So bhakti is much higher. What we generalize as bhakti, we call somebody who is bhakta. No, bhakti is very, very, very high. The real bhakti, Krishna says in the 18th chapter, that Brahma bhuta prasannatma na shochati na kangshati. It is available only to somebody who is already on a Brahman platform. Brahma bhuta. And he is always happy, prasanna atma. And who? Na shochati na kangshati. Who to kashata shok kart nahi. When do we do shlok? When do we lament? When we lose something. So he doesn't care if he loses something, because there is not here. He's anyway. And na kangshati. He is not desirous of anything. Sama sarveshu bhuteshu. And he is equal to all the living entities, not only humans, living entities. That person, mad bhakti labhate param. That person gets my supreme bhakti. So bhakti, when we call, it's not really cheap thing. So that's why association of sadhus or devotees is, as you mentioned, is very, very important. Yes, Prabhu, you were saying something. Sorry, I kind of diverted in association. Rajesh Prabhu?
नाही माझं झालं मी इनफॅक्ट आय एंडेड विथ दॅट एक्झाम्पल ऑफ पंक्तीमध्ये सर्विंग.
Yes, yeah, Melbourne, sir, you shared that. Okay, let's do one more verse. I think this, because it is kind of continuation of the yoga process. So, yadaksharam veda vido vadanti
यदक्षरं वेद विदो वदन्ति
vishanti yadyatayo vitaragaha
विशन्ति यद्यतयो वीतरागाः
yadichanto brahmacharyam charanti
यदिच्छन्तो ब्रह्मचर्यं चरन्ति
tatte padam sangrahena pravakshe
तत्ते पदं संग्रहेण प्रवक्षे
यदक्षरं वेदविदो वदन्ति
यदक्षरं वेदविदो वदन्ति
विशन्ति यद्यतयो वीतरागाः
विशन्ति यद्यतयो वीतरागाः
यदिच्छन्तो ब्रह्मचर्यं चरन्ति
यदिच्छन्तो ब्रह्मचर्यं चरन्ति
तत्ते पदं संग्रहेण प्रवक्षे
तत्ते पदं संग्रहेण प्रवक्षे.
Okay, let's recite this recitation. Rajesh Prabhu will start with you this time.
यदक्षरं वेदविदो वदन्ति
यदक्षरं वेदविदो वदन्ति
विशन्ति यद्यतयो वितरागाः विशन्ति यद्यतयो वीतरागाः
विशन्ति यद्यतयो वीतरागाः
यदिच्छन्तो ब्रह्मचर्यं चरन्ति
यदिच्छन्तो ब्रह्मचर्यं चरन्ति
तत्ते पदं संग्रहेण प्रवक्ष्ये
तत्ते पदं संग्रहेण प्रवक्ष्ये.
Thank you, Prabhu. Chandrakant Prabhu.
यदक्षरं वेदविदो वदन्ति
यदक्षरं वेदविदो वदन्ति
विशन्ति यद्यतयो वीतरागाः
विशन्ति यद्यतयो वीतरागाः
यदिच्छन्तो ब्रह्मचर्यं चरन्ति
यदिच्छन्तो ब्रह्मचर्यं चरन्ति
तत्ते पदं संग्रहेण प्रवक्षे
तत्ते पदं संग्रहेण प्रवक्षे. Madhu Prabhu, are you still available?
Yes, Prabhu. Listening out for it.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Prabhu. So let's do word for word translation. Yat means that which. Aksharam means syllable Om. Vedavit means a person who is conversant with the Vedas. Vadanti means say. Vishanti means enter. Yat means in which. Yatayah means great sages. Vitaragaha means in renounced order of life, or one who is without attachment. Vita means without and raga is attachment. So in renounced order of life or without attachment. Yat means that which. Ichchantah means desiring, ichcha karta. Brahmacharyan means celibacy or celibate life. Charanti means practice, one who acharan karta tache, charanti. Tat means that. Te means unto you. Padam means situation. Sangrahena means in summary. And Pravakshe means I shall explain. So Krishna is explaining something further now. So he's saying persons who are learned in Vedas, or that is the word is used, Vedavit, who are Vedavit, person who are learned in Vedas, who utter Omkara Aksharam, and who are great sages in the renounced order, enter into Brahman. Desiring such perfection, one practices celibacy. I shall now briefly explain to you this process by which one may attain salvation. So persons who are learned in Vedas, one who is Vedavid, and then who utter Aksharam, the syllable Om, Omkara, and they are working towards entering into Brahman. So these are the yogis, because they don't have understanding about the personality of God, who really God is. We learned that, right? The three ways, Vadanti Tattvavidas Tattvam Yajnanam Advayam Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavan iti Shabdete. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto itself, it is explained that the supreme personality of Godhead, or the supreme absolute truth, is understood in three stages, or the three ways. And the first level is to understand Brahman, is his effulgence or the energy, the spiritual energy. And the second level of understanding is Paramatma, one who resides in our heart. And the third is the highest level of understanding is Bhagavan, or the supreme person of his, this Paramatma is feature, and of his, the Brahman is effulgence. But the yogis typically are aspiring for entering into Brahman, because they don't have understanding of Krishna as Bhagavan. They consider Brahman as the highest, the spiritual energy. So desiring such perfection, one practices celibacy. They follow brahmacharya because they want to get this, enter into Brahman and attain perfection. For them, that is the perfection. So about them, Krishna is saying that he is now going to explain that how they can attain salvation in summary in next few verses. So that's what he is mentioning here in this verse. So Rajesh Prabhu, can you please read the
Yes. Lord Sri Krishna has recommended to Arjuna the practice of Sat Chakra Yoga, in which one places the air of life between the eyebrows. Taking it for granted that Arjuna might not know how to practice Sat Chakra Yoga, the Lord explains the process in the following verses. The Lord says that Brahman, although one without a second, has various manifestations and features, especially for the impersonalist, the Akshara or Omkara. The syllable Om is identical with Brahman. Krishna here explains the impersonal Brahman, into which the renounced order of sages enter. In the Vedic system of knowledge, students from the very beginning are taught to vibrate Om and learn of the ultimate impersonal Brahman by living with the spiritual master in complete celibacy. In this way, they realize two of Brahman's features. This practice is very essential for the student's advancement in spiritual life. But at the moment, such brahmachari, unmarried celibate, life is not at all possible. Brahmachari life is not at all possible. The social construction of the world has changed so much that there is no possibility of one's practicing celibacy from the beginning of student life. Throughout the world, there are many institutions for different departments of knowledge, but there is no recognized institution where students can be educated in the brahmachari principles. Unless one practices celibacy, advancement in spiritual life is very difficult. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya has announced, according to the scriptural injunctions for this age of Kali, that in this age, no process of realizing the Supreme is possible except the chanting of the holy names of Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Bo. Very
Hare
nice,
Krishna.
very beautiful. Hare Krishna. So here, in the previous verse, when Krishna says that Prur Madhya Pranam Avesha Samyak, that the yoga process, what destination, how one can think of him in different ways now. So now here he's focusing how one can, the yogi who has highest realization as Brahman, how he is going to summarily explain in couple of verses the process, how he is thinking or what he is doing. So the Shat Chakra Yoga or the Ashtanga Yoga, we saw the 7 chakras, right? And Shat Chakra is the 6th chakra, is in the Western world it is called third eye, or between the 2 eyebrows.
Yes.
Yeah. So in the following verses, he is going to explain that. That's what Prabhupada is mentioning here in the purport. The Lord says that Brahman is one without a second. So even Brahman, even though it is spread everywhere, but it is one, and that is the energy of the Lord Krishna. So for him, actually, there is nothing spiritual or material because he can transfer energy. So law of conservation of energy, we know, right? The law of conservation of energy is basically the energy cannot be created or it cannot be destroyed. It always remains the same. So, but I was always surprised when we were studying this law of conservation of energy, that if it cannot be created and if it cannot be destroyed, where did it come from? So here I got the answer. Krishna says, I am the source of all the energy. So he says, I am the source of all material and spiritual energies. And he is the one who can transform material into spiritual, spiritual into material. And in the modern technology, we see that heat energy can be transferred into electricity, electricity can be transferred into mechanical energy, it can be transferred into chemical energy, all these different forms of energy can transfer. An expert engineer or expert technologist can transfer energy from one form to the other form. So Krishna, if he is the supreme creator, cannot he transfer his energy from spiritual to material and material to spiritual? Because he is the creator, he can dictate everything. So he is the source of every energy, and that energy he mentions as the supreme Brahman. So that Brahman, although one without a second, has various manifestations and features. So Brahman can be in different forms, even though it is one. And especially for the impersonalist, they think of Omkara or the effulgence of Krishna. That Brahman, even when we think of so-called Hindu religion, which is a foreign word, in Hinduism also there are many schools of thought that Brahman is the supreme. They don't accept Krishna or any personal form. They think that Krishna is not supreme, Brahman is supreme, and so that is identical with Brahman. And Krishna here explains the impersonal Brahman, into which the renounced order of sages enter. So the sages who are thinking, the Prabhupada sometimes calls them as Mayavadis, that they are thinking, they don't know that Krishna is supreme, they think that Brahman is supreme, in which they enter. And that's where the process here Krishna is explaining. So, and also in the Vedic school of thoughts or in the Vedic knowledge, from the very beginning, all these mantras and everything are taught to the students in Gurukul, where they are strictly following brahmacharya or celibate life. But Prabhupada clearly says that in Kali Yuga, following Varnashram Dharma or following the Gurukul culture is very difficult. Following brahmacharya is not at all possible in this school, but in this way, because all the Western influence and Western culture is now, forget about in Western part of the world, but even in Eastern part of the world, it is taking so much, it is taking over.
Yes.
And that's why the practicing of celibacy from the beginning of student life is not possible in today's world. Throughout the world, there are many institutions for different departments of knowledge, but there is no recognized institution where student can follow the brahmachari principles. Rather, there is opposite in schools. They are teaching sex education and everything. How you can have safe sex in schools.
Yes.
So we can see how modern education system has corrupted our minds, and they're promoting all the wrong things, because everything is taught at the bodily level, because we all consider this body one life hai, full enjoy kar lo. एक जिंदगी ना मिलेगी दोबारा. That's the culture. You live only once. That's the culture. So enjoy to the fullest what you can. And that gives us, unfortunately, that makes us so bad, that because there is no responsibility, there is no concept of, I may get next life and I may have to suffer for this.
Actually, that is what makes Jindagi bar.
Yeah.
वो मिलता रहेगा.
Unfortunately, you are going to get Jindagi bar bar, as Rajesh Prabhu, you rightly said. The more blunder you make, the more worse Jindagi you are going to get again and again.
Correct.
And it is going to, and 16th chapter, Krishna says actually, Kshipami Ajasram Ashubhan Yonim, that for those persons, I put them in such abominable conditions, life after life, that they don't get chance to think of.
Yes.
In the 16th chapter, there are only two negative verses in whole Bhagavad Gita. 16th chapter 19 and 28. 19, 20, where Krishna says, Asuri Bhav, the people who are with demonic mentality, they think that they are great, they are doing everything, and for them, I put them in abominable conditions so that because they don't want to think of me, so I give them such a life and mentality that they will never think of me.
They will never be able to recover.
Yeah.
For us, impossible.
So that is the life. So this modern civilization, it is very difficult to follow Varnashram Dharma. And that's why Krishna himself comes in this as Lord Chaitanya. He is the most munificent incarnation that is mentioned in the Vedic literature, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because he gave us very simple method, and he doesn't concoct this method. He gave this from the Vedic literature. So he gave us this method for the age of Kali, and it is very easy method by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
Yes.
In the Brahma Vaivarta Purana, it is, I think, Bruhan Naradiya Purana, it is said that Harer Nam Namaiva Kevalam Kalau Nasti Eva Gatirennata. That only chanting Hari's name in Kali Yuga is the only way. In Kali Yuga, Kalau na asti eva gatiranyatha. Without this, there is no gati. And there are so many other references. Even in Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna says, Kirtanat eva Krishnasya mukta sangha param raje. Shukdev Goswami, he gives qualities of, so many bad qualities of Kali Yuga. That there will be this type of people will do these blunders, all the Vedic culture will be completely destroyed and everything. But he says that Kaler doshe niderajan asti eka mahan guna. There are so many dosh in Kali Yuga, but there is very one great quality, asti eka mahan guna. What is that? Kirtanat eva Krishnasya mukta sangha param rajet. Just by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra or Kirtan of Krishna, Mukta Sangha Param Rajet, one can get free from all these miseries for good. So that is the boon of Kali Yuga actually. The process is very, very easy. So yeah, and then I think after this, in next few verses, we will read more about what process, yoga process, Krishna is going to briefly explain. So we'll continue with this next week. So any reflections, Prabhu, and we can get some reflections or thoughts or questions, and then we'll stop today. Hare Krishna Bapu Prabhu, Hare Krishna Jitu Prabhu. Thank you for joining.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So any reflections, Prabhu?
Prabhuji, no reflection as such, but this Rajesh Prabhu was saying that the kind of example, the Jindagi na mile dubara, so people keep saying that, okay, keep doing things because there is no life. I think the reach of those things is very fast and easy, rather than what knowledge, the real knowledge is, right? And that's why people, or the mindset is becoming like that, okay, life, there is no life after this. This is the life. Just enjoy it. So probably the knowledge what we are trying to learn, if it reaches to more and more people, probably that type of thought definitely will go. But the kind of in Kali Yuga, probably, as he said, that the symptoms of Kali Yuga, right, the bad things will definitely take over the good. So more and more people try to read this, those thoughts will be getting diminished. I will say.
Yes, Chandrakant Prabhu, that's very thought, and we are so fortunate. I think we are reading this,
Yeah.
and it is all because of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then lately Srila Prabhupada, who spread this knowledge in very simple, understandable English language, and he has not only written so many books for us, but he has created the whole, all over the world, a society where we can go and meet like-minded people and associate with them. He has created the family all over world, and anybody is welcome. He is not given any restrictions. He may be a black or white or Muslim or Christian or Jew or anybody. Everybody is welcome, because this is real knowledge that is required for people.
That's true. Yeah.
So we are,
Very
I feel
positive.
so much indebted to Srila Prabhupada, because
Yeah.
without him, I never thought I would understand any single word of Bhagavad Gita.
Definitely. And even few years before also our thought process was the same, that this is the only life. Just enjoy.
Yeah, enjoy to the fullest.
Yeah. But slowly we are trying to understand and realizing that, oh no, this is not that. In that infinity scale, probably this is just a dot, this life
Yeah,
is.
that's true. This is just a small dot.
Yeah.